Hello everyone, today I will be discussing the thing they carried by Tim O'Brien and comparing it to the words by Timothy Finlay. Although these books are set in different wars, they explore many of the same ideas. Both authors show that war can affect people emotionally as much as it affects them physically. They explore the themes such as trauma, courage, guilt, loss of innocence, and the struggle to remain human during violent times. Throughout literacy devices and different literacy lenses, both novels encourage readers to question the true cost of war. The things they carried is based on the experience of the American soldier during the Vietnam War. Instead of focusing only on battles, Tim O'Brien shows that the soldiers carry with them both physically and emotionally. They carry weapons, supplies, photographs, letters from their loves, and personal things. More permanently, they carry fear, grief, guilt, memories, and responsibilities. This idea of emotional burns is one of the central themes of the novel. Similarly, in the words, Robert Ross experienced the horror of the First World War after the tragic death of his sister, Roera. Throughout the novel, Robert struggles with grief, violence, and the loss of his innocence. Like the soldiers in O'Brien's novel, Robert carries emotional wounds that become heavier as the story continues. One important literacy device found in the both novels is symbolism. In the things they carried, the object the soldiers carry symbolizes the emotional weight of war. For example, letters from family represent hope and love, while weapons represent survival and fear. The physical items become the symbol of the invisible struggles each soldier faces. In the wars, animals are an important symbol. Robert cares deeply about animals because they represent innocence and life. Throughout the novel, animals are often victims of human violence, showing how war destroys not only people but the nature and compassion. Robert's decision to save the horses near the end of the novel symbolizes his refusal to completely lose his humanity, even though it leads to devastating consequences. Another literacy device used effectively is imagery. Tim O'Brien describes the jungle of the Vietnam with vision details, helping readers imagine the fear and the confusion experienced by the soldiers. His descriptions create a realistic atmosphere and help readers understand how stressful the war was. Timothy Finlay also uses powerful imagery. His descriptions of moody trenches, explosions, fire, and landscape that create disturbing pictures that emphasize the brutality of the war. These images remind readers that the war damaged both the environment and the people who forces the fight in. The theme of loss of innocence is another strong connection between the two novels. At the beginning of the things they carried, many soldiers are young men with dreams of the future. However, as they experience death and violence, they become emotionally scared. Their understanding of courage changes because they learn that bravery is not the absence of fear but the ability to continue despite being feared. Robert Ross experienced a similar transformation. At the beginning of the war, he is a compassionate young man who loves his family and animals. As the war continues, he witnesses terrible suffering and is forced to make impossible decisions. By the end of the novel, he is no longer the innocent young man he once was. A psychoanalytic literary lens helps us understanding both novels. This lens focuses on the human mind, emotions, and unconscious motivations. In the things they carried, many soldiers experience fear, guilt, and emotional trauma. Some cope by telling stories, while others struggle to express their emotions. Storytelling becomes a way of dealing with painful memories. Robert Ross also experiences psychological trauma. The death of his sister affects him long before he entered the war, and the violence he witnesses increases his emotional suffering. His action throughout the novel reflects someone trying to hold onto his identity while facing overwhelming trauma. An historical lens is also used because both novels are connected to real historic events. The war reflects the realities of the First World War, while the things they carried explore the Vietnam War. Although these conflicts happened decades apart, both authors suggest that the emotional consequences of war remain the same. They show that history often repeats itself and that ordinary people continue to suffer during conflict. Characterization is another important literacy element. Tim O'Brien presents soldiers as ordinary people rather than heroes. They are frightened, uncertain, and emotional. This realistic portrayal challenges traditional ideas of war and heroism. Robert Ross is also portrayed as a realistic character. He is not perfect, and he makes difficult choices under extreme pressure. His compassion, courage, and emotional struggles makes him a beloved character. Both authors remind readers that soldiers are human beings with fears and weaknesses rather than simply heroes and villains. The author also challenged the idea of the war is glorious. Instead of celebrating victory, they focus on suffering, grief, and moral conflict. Readers are encouraged to question whether violence can ever truly solve problems. Both novels show that even those who survive war often continue carrying emotional scars for the rest of their lives. Personally, I found the things they carried meaningful because it presents war from a human perspective. Rather than focusing only on battles, it explores emotions that many people can relate to, such as fear, responsibility, grief, and friendship. It reminds readers that the greatest burdens people carry are often invincible. Reading both novels together helped me understand that the war changes people in lasting ways. Although the words and the things they carried are set in different time periods, they communicate similar messages about the importance of the compassion and humanity. Both authors argue that the emotional consequences of war are just as significant as the physical destruction. In conclusion, The Things They Carried is an excellent companion to the wars because both novels explore trauma, courage, guilt, and the loss of innocence. Throughout symbolized imagery, characterizations, and historical context, both authors reveal the true cause of war. Their stories remind us that behind every conflict are people who lives are permanently changing. These novels continue to be relevant today because they encourage readers to think critically about war, humanity, and the importance of empathy. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you for listening. I know I'm not the best at talking in English, but I did my best here. I hope you liked my presentation. Have a great night.